Hey there, Georgie here with Ukraine Matters. Ukraine is making sure that Russian oil troubles will not go away. Ukraine might be on its way to the European Union thanks to a very unexpected source, and more importantly, Belgian F-16s are about to arrive to Ukraine. This and more in today's daily news. And we're starting today's episode with a boom, a massive boom indeed, on the Ryazan-Moscow pipeline. It has been reported by the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine that the Ryazan-Moscow main oil pipeline, a pipeline that supplies fuel directly to the heart of the aggressor state of Moscow, has now been exploded. More to come. But Russian oil problems don't end or begin with just explosions, despite the fact that explosions or Ukrainian kinetic sanctions is one of the most effective tools in the sanctions arsenal of the Western democracies. No, but it has been reported that Russian oil supplies have declined in the past 2 weeks, as reported by Bloomberg. Bloomberg is important because they are usually following very closely about the Russian oil market. The flow of oil from Russia has actually dropped to the 4-week low, which is very interesting because it is against the known patterns of Russian response to the strikes against their infrastructure. Ukrainians, when they strike Russian infrastructure, they are conducting strikes on the oil refining infrastructure. So ability of Russians to take that raw oil and refine it into more usable oil products. And what Russia did beforehand is they would see that they cannot refine as much oil before, so they would push more oil to be exported from Russia. So now we are seeing a weird break in the pattern that despite the Ukrainian intensified strikes on the Russian refining capabilities, Russian oil exports are not increasing, but quite contrary, they are falling. I will need to look into the details of why this is happening, but it's definitely something that might indicate a lot deeper problems that I think we all are feeling that Russian economy and Russian oil industry is having, but it's just, I want to know for sure. There has been an intense discussion about the Ukrainian accession into the European Union, and specifically opening the first cluster of negotiations. Accession to European Union is being conducted through these number of clusters that are being opened, and then the country is discussing with Europeans how they can unify their economies or political systems so that the country candidate will become more matched and is elevated to rise to the position of joining the European Union. And Ukraine was waiting for a while now to start opening negotiations on that first cluster so they can start improving their positions and moving towards joining the European Union. But one person was standing in the way of this all the time. Viktor the Pig Dolphin Orban. And Viktor Orban has had a lot of issues in his country, and he was trying to always present himself as this beneficiary of Hungary. So whatever he does against Ukraine and pro-Russia, he always painted it as in a picture that this is all for the benefits of Hungary. And he was a big friend of Trump because, well, Trump wanted to be friends with Putin. Therefore, Trump wants me to be friends with Putin as well. But now Trump, specifically on this question, supposedly called Orban. And not only he called him, he pressured him and convinced him to actually drop the objections to start negotiations of Ukraine for accession to European Union. Now, this doesn't mean that Ukrainians will be fully accepted. There would need to be a vote on every single cluster at the end of it, whether or not the Europeans are agreeing and all of the countries in Europe are agreeing that Ukraine matched the requirements of that cluster. But nonetheless, I never thought that I would say this, but props to Donald Trump and whoever convinced him to do this thing. Ukraine is potentially starting negotiations to join the European Union. And importantly, not just Ukraine, but also Moldova. Yesterday, we talked about one of the biggest Russian drone manufacturing having huge issues because Russian economy, despite whatever all of the shills and propagandists are telling you, is not doing so well. And now we're seeing the same situation also being echoed in other parts of the economy. This time, the space. Because one of the Russia's largest rocket and space corporations, yes, those still exist, is on the verge of collapse. Rocket and Space Corporation Energia, one of the largest and oldest companies in industry in Russia, has admitted that it is on the verge of collapse. CEO Igor Maltsev said that situation was critical, and according to him, the company was millions of dollars in debt, staff motivation has been lost, and the company itself is under threat of closure. Due to the sanctions, Russia has virtually lost access to the critical Western technologies. Space launches for foreign customers have all but stopped, and country can no longer compete with giants like United States and China. Quote, the myth of Russia as a great space power is gradually collapsing. The industry is degrading, losing personnel, technology, and prospects. And again, I want to underscore this to everyone. This is just the beginning for Russian economy to feel the effects of this war. More to come. Putin has not only been a bane for Ukrainians and Europeans and everyone else. Primarily, Putin has been an absolute bane for Russia's future itself. The amount of damage he did to Russia is immense. So the fact that there are still people living in a past and are thinking of Russia as some kind of a great power will be soon coming up to a very rude awakening. Belgium follows up on their promises to deliver the F-16s, and they're actually stating that the first F-16s promised to Ukraine will be already coming in the autumn. Belgian Foreign Minister Maxime Prévost, sorry for mispronunciation, has announced his country will provide Ukraine with batch of first F-16s in just coming months. Belgium has pledged 30 F-16s to be delivered by the 2028, more than any other nation, despite the long waiting time. So we are welcoming the Belgian F-16s. We're welcoming any aid and help that Ukraine can receive from us Europeans. So thank you to people of Belgium. Thank you to the government of Belgium for supporting Ukraine and still following through with the promises. We see another country taking the threats to them seriously, specifically the drone threats coming from Russia. Previously, Romania stated that they will be shutting down the drones that fly into their territory and have already scrambled interceptors a couple of times. But now Lithuania is also claiming that they will be shooting down any kind of drone that crosses the border with the country. This follows the recent wandering Russian Shahid drone that flew over unexpectedly over the capital of the country, which caused a big uproar in the Lithuanian society. And then there is news that really underscore just how bad I'm still doing my job. So I'm not able to reach as much people as I want. And that's why I really want to ask everyone that is still watching this to please click the like, subscribe for this video, because we need to share this information. But the polls show that 53% of Germans believe that Ukraine should give up territories to Russia to end the war. And the reason that I'm talking about this is not the reports. Majority of the people that are reporting, they're obviously the followers of the Alternative for Germany party, a very pro-Russian party. 86% of the voters are claiming that. But still, for Green Party, one of the most pro-Ukraine party in Germany, only 66% of people are in resistance to this statement, which underscores that I'm really bad at delivering the message that needs to be delivered. The territories is not what Russia is after. Territories is a big red herring. Russian invasion into Ukraine is not about the land. It is about imperial conquest. It is about removal of Ukrainian statehood. It is about removal of presence. It is about establishing the sphere of influence. It's about reestablishing the Russian Empire or the Soviet Empire or whatever you want to say all across Europe, not just Ukraine. For Putin, this war is not against Ukraine. For Putin, this war is against the West that is using Ukraine as its tool to project their power. So if he's able to humiliate and crush Ukraine and force Western powers to essentially agree to his statements that it is all about the lands, he is believing that this is the way he can crush any and all resistance. That if you push hard enough for long enough, there will be enough people that are dumb enough to actually believe what he's saying and buy that shit. And the fact that there is majority of people in Germany that are buying this shit tells me that we are still very far away from people fully understanding the depth of the issue we are facing. So please help spread this message, not by just sharing, liking this message for sure, but also remember to, if you talk with the people you know, and tell them that this is not about the land. It is all a red herring. It is everything about empire and Putin's place in history and how he wants to establish greater Russia and punish our NATO. For him, it is all about ego and geopolitics. Ukraine is strengthening their cooperation with Denmark. There has been big discussions going on between the Danish authorities and the Minister of Defense of Ukraine, Denis Shmyhal, in the recent contacts. And even from some personal knowledge, I can tell you that there's going to be massive mutual investment and cooperation within Denmark and Ukraine. And Denmark is moving further and further to proving that they're one of the most trusted allies for Ukraine. Yeah, Denmark, the Kong. Ukraine expects allies to contribute 1 billion euros monthly for the US arms purchases going forward. President Zelensky expressed that the new Pearl program that has been announced and already have participants from Europe will be expanded, and we will see more and more purchases of weapons from United States, equaling at least 1 billion euros monthly. I will definitely want to join this, and I will be looking forward to see which countries else will be looking to join the program. The latest being Norway, that was talking with President Zelensky and will be looking to support the initiative more. A Russian attack struck the Ukrainian mine, killing one worker and trapping 146 underground. Thanks to Ukraine services, they have been now rescued and are back to their loved ones safely. A curious case, an example from UK, where a volunteer in support of Ukrainian military has done something incredible. They've found a way to recycle old vapes, and they have been gathering the batteries to help and create the batteries for the FPV drones that Ukraine needs so badly. The initiative comes from Luka, the Leeds Ukrainian Community Association, where disposable vapes are gathered and then shipped to Ukraine, where volunteers assemble them into portable chargers and energy packs used for troops to power drones, phones, night vision devices, and anything else that Ukrainian soldiers might need in their daily lives. It is a great way of recycling even the single-use solutions. So please, if you are within Leeds or within UK, potentially join one of these campaigns. Or if you are in any other country in Ukraine, consider starting this. It's definitely something that is needed in Ukraine, very much so. And finally, to finish on the hilarious note, Russia plans withdrawal from the European conventions preventing torture. Just the headline itself already got me rolling with laughter. Russia is obviously now a state that has broken every single conceivable rule of law or any single conceivable norm or ethics or even something that distinguishes us from animals. Russians have shown that they're merciless killers, that they don't stop to do anything that when they have the power. Russians are committing torture, genocide, sexual abuse, and every single crime in the book that one can imagine, as soon as they have the ability to do so. The way that they have been treating the captured territories, or liberated as they would like to call them, it is insanity. So when I hear some of the apologists for Russia trying to tell me that Russians want to save Russians, and those people haven't spent a minute looking in how the liberated Russian citizens, as they would like to present them, are living in the Russian-occupied territories, because it is terror, abuse, and an absolute nightmare. So, what a joke. Thank you so much for watching this video. Tell me how you like this daily format. I would love to hear your opinion. This has been running for a month now, so it's a good time to give some feedback. Slava Ukraini, trust in Ukrainian armed forces. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow.